Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Mo studio.
It's a blast!
It's Orlando's own Tom and Dan.
Welcome to a Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. If you like watching podcasts, we would love to have you. Twitch and YouTube, just search for @Tom and Dan Live. Soon to have a brand new kind of a streaming platform, kind of a studio deal that we'll be working on momentarily.
And if you're a BDM, our BDM Appreciation Party is happening on Saturday from 6 to 10 in Sanford. You'll get the invite if you're a BDM or you already got it, you already know. And if you're not a BDM, you can still come last minute. Just sign up at tomandan.com. There is a love meter, so you could sign up for $1.95. You could sign up for $10.95, in which I'm sending out the last batch of our $10.95 appreciation letters. Most of them got them already, but
like handwritten prison letter.
If
you've ever wanted a handwritten prison letter, you're in luck because we're sending them out, and they are scary. When you get it and you open it, you're like, "Well, who is this from? Who's gonna kill me?" And then you read it, and then you decipher that it's us, and then you're relieved and happy.
My handwriting is horrible. I don't even know if you can read it.
It's gotten better.
It is not. I mean, the people.
It's gotten better.
They're clowning me on the BDM page.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you shouldn't do what you're doing, but you're doing it. You know, it's like when dumb people write books, and a lot of them do. They're like, "I'm writing a book," and then they do it, and then you're like, "You shouldn't have done that."
Yeah. All right, let's do some weird.
Okay,
job.
This is probably my favorite Weird Job Wednesday theme song I've ever done. This one I had to. This one took a long time because I had to take into consideration the use of the Spanish language and making sure that I was going to do it correctly and not make it sound stupid. So, ladies and gentlemen, my first and ever mariachi version of the Weird Job Wednesday theme song. And this one, I'm very proud of this. This is probably my favorite we've done.
Tom quería un segmento, lo llamó trabajo raro. A Dan le gustó, pero Tom dijo es barato.
Beautiful.
Es solo otro miércoles de esos tan extraños. Historias de trabajos que parecen de engaños. Trabajo raro. Raro, sí. Miércoles raro. No, Tom, diré. ¿Qué estás haciendo? ¿Cuál es tu labor? Eres muy limpio, hueles a sudor. Ganas millones, vives en tu torre. O das tu vida por horas que corren. Trabajo raro, raro otra vez. Gracias a Tom y Dan también.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's awesome, right? Like, it's got to be the new one. I'm saying use that from here on out. And at the end, AI says, "Thank you, Tom, and also Dan." It says, at the end, it says, "Thank you, Tom, and also Dan."
I recognize trabajo, which means job, but I didn't catch the Wednesday. I have no idea.
That's right. Also, it says, "Do you sit up in your tower or do you smell like sweat?" That's what it says. It's very aggressive.
That is good.
That's my favorite one we've ever done.
That's good.
Mariachi music is the greatest music. It's one of the greatest music. On the line, and you've known this guy a very long time. This is a cool thing. Why don't you introduce our Weird Job guest?
We have my buddy Dean on the line. How you doing, Dean?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Tom?
Good. Now, I don't know
Blast
why.
from the past, man.
You know, every once in a while, like Weird Jobs, we've done this for I don't even know how many years now, like 8 years maybe, continuously. Weird Job Wednesday. And
I mean, it feels like as long and hard as my hip replacement. I would say it's
a long time.
It's just as bad as my hip replacement, I would say.
And so sometimes we get a lot coming in. Sometimes we go through a drought. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me to start going through my contacts in my phone.
No, it did. It did like 2 days ago. And then
I was like, we've got a lot in here.
He screams from his office. He goes, "I've got hundreds." And I don't know what that means. Could be dollars. Could be anything, right?
Yeah. And then I'm going through A, B, C. I get to D. I'm like, Dean, SeaWorld Dean. And then I text them, and Dean's like, damn, Tom, I haven't talked to you in years.
And you're like, and you do what you normally do when people say that. You go, I need a favor.
Yeah. And the first time I've talked to Dean in years, I'm asking him for a favor.
Favorite phone. It's the favorite phone.
Sorry, Dean, if that's a D-head thing to do, but I look
that's not a problem.
That's a standard, Tom. We know you, and we've come to expect your selfishness.
So first, Dean, how you been, man?
Doing good.
Well, hold on. No. First was I need a favor. Second is how you're doing. I just want to make sure that we're on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest with our listeners.
So,
well, if you need a favor, if you need me to install a sprinkler system for fire suppression, I can do that.
I was going to say, now you're doing it because he's an amateur irrigationist now, so be careful.
That I went through Sprinkler Bob. So, I got the sprinklers.
And that guy's a drunk.
But SeaWorld Dean, SeaWorld Dean used to hook me up with SeaWorld tickets. I used to get behind-the-scene tours.
Yeah, and you told me I could get it, but never follow through. Never follow through.
And I've seen a lot
of friends that say, like, hey, I can get you front row. I can get you front row. They go front row, never get you in. Never get you in.
I brought my son to meet a penguin.
Which one? The one you love the most? The one you love the
Tommy,
most? Tommy is the one you love the most.
By the time Max was born, I was so tired of it.
Well, Dean had already moved on to fire suppression at that point.
So Dean, let's talk about how you even got into SeaWorld and got into, because you worked in the bird area of SeaWorld, correct?
Yeah, primarily I was an aviculturist, but originally I started in 1981. SeaWorld came to our school, and they were hiring people for spring break, and I was working park operations where you helped with the shows and swept up cigarette butts and crap like that. And after staying there a week, they offered me a job, a part-time job. So I used that as a leveraging point for my dad. I'm like, hey, they offered me a job, but I need a car. So he got me a car, so a win-win, except I had to pay him back for it. And so while I finished high school, I was there, and then I was going to Seminole State for firefighting and
nice.
EMT paramedic stuff. But anyhow, I ended up transferring over to animal care, and then they split animal care because they did birds and mammals. I ended up in the bird side of it because nobody wanted to really do it at the time. I wanted to do mammals initially, but ended up on the bird side. My choice was either you can quit or you can go to birds. So I went to birds. I've always liked
I don't
birds.
know. I think I'd quit. With what I know of birds,
penguins.
Based on what Thomas told me of birds, if somebody told me right now, hey, you could go work with birds or kill yourself, I'd kill myself because
birds are cool.
Penguins are the only cool birds because they're like little fat men.
No, egrets.
They're like little fat men.
No, but the thing is, look at the diversity with birds. Not all of them fly, but a lot of beauty with them, and really unique animal to deal with. So, but yeah, doing that,
You know what unique means to normos? Difficult. Right?
They're flamingos. Flamingos
I do
are
like,
awesome.
Hold on, I do like a flamingo.
Okay, so Dean, what I found interesting, did you know anything about birds before you went into the bird area of SeaWorld?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I raised exotic pigeons. Kind of a geeky thing, but it was really cool.
Wow. What are the odds of that? Exotic pigeons, I didn't even know. Explain if you can take an aside, what would make an exotic pigeon different than a standard New York City, subway pigeon?
All right, so most of the pigeons you see, the park pigeons, those are all, they're called barred.
Yeah.
They got the bars on their tail. But you get, they're so diverse. You got pigeons that are called tumblers because when they're flying, they all tumble at the same time. You get these pigeons called saints. They got this big collar of feathers that kind of obscures their head until they're flying, and it pushes the feathers back. So there's a lot of different. You got these penguins. Pigeons that are almost as big as a chicken called a Modena. They're huge, and they come from Italy.
Funky coal Medina is what I say.
As big as a chicken?
That's a Tone Loke joke. That's a Loke joke. You don't give many Loke jokes. I'd also like to say this counts as a Bird Wednesday, and it is Wednesday, so this is a double. This is a twofer.
So as big as a chicken?
So almost as big. It's a really stout.
It's the Medina. It's as big as me.
Yeah.
I couldn't even fight a Medina pigeon right now because I'm too weak.
So, but yeah, raising them, I had I lived in a neighborhood, and it was kind of probably, trashy redneck, but I had a pigeon coop in the backyard that my dad allowed me to have.
It's either redneck or ghetto, they say. Right.
Right. So, but I could let them out, and they fly around, and at night you open it up, and they all come back in.
That's very Mike Tyson. You were Castleberry Mike Tyson.
Yeah, before Mike Tyson did it. So the only thing I didn't do is I didn't let him eat out of my mouth like he does.
I would do that.
So
I would go one step further. I would put it at the edge of my, like where my tramp stamp tattoo is.
Out of why pigeons, Dean? Are they smarter than other birds? Where are they at in intelligent level as far as birds go? Like, are parrots the most smart? I know ravens are smart, right?
Yeah. So your ravens and crows, which are corvids is the species. But they're extremely intelligent. Penguins, or I keep saying penguins, pigeons are actually fairly intelligent. But they, just watching their behaviors and their socializing, and you have them in a group, it's kind of a cool thing. I mean, if you're into that, it's just, I wouldn't say they're the smartest bird, but they're fairly intelligent.
Do they have personalities? Like, can you like you like some that are more like kind and loving, and some that are more ornery and angry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had one that, I was still riding a bike. I didn't have a driver's license, and the thing would, follow me and land on my shoulder. I'd go down to my friend Mike's house, and here comes Elvis,
cool.
my pigeon.
Elvis?
His name was Elvis.
That's awesome.
Yeah, here he come, and he'd land. One day he disappeared. I don't know what happened, but it was really cool.
Probably drugs. That's what happened to the real Elvis. Yeah, probably pain pills.
God,
right.
Well, what a different generation. You're raising pigeons.
What did your boys do today? Well, my son rode his bike with his pet pigeon Elvis down to the, got a chocolate malted.
I can't even imagine my son's building a pigeon coop and raising pigeons. Just like, what are you doing back? Like,
I'm making a dwelling for my pigeons.
I'm happy about just them.
You'd cry.
Doing their homework at the end of the day, remembering anything. Anyway, so Dean, let's talk about SeaWorld for a second, because you worked with penguins in SeaWorld, which has to you're like you said, there's a huge spectrum of birds, and like working with pigeons and penguins, I mean, they're entirely different animals. To me, not even close.
I bet there are some similarities, though. Yeah, what do you say about that, Dean?
Well, the fact that they're birds, they all have feathers, and they lay eggs.
Gotcha.
So yeah, other than that, I mean, penguins' biology is obviously a lot different than a flying bird. They're going to have solid bones and a lot more body weight. They're not going to have flight feathers. But, again, they're still a bird. So, but working with penguins was, no pun intended, it was really cool. I mean, I had the opportunity to work with, I think, like 8 different species over my career there. I hand-raised quite a number of them. Would take them home, at portable incubators, take them home, feed them through the night, and it's just really cool. It's that kind of thing that most people would never get an opportunity to do. I took flamingos home sometimes and hand-raised those as well.
So
I took some pigs home sometimes. I fed them, and they. It was hard. I was a drunk.
So let's talk about your favorite birds at SeaWorld. The most difficult birds to work with. Like you mentioned, flamingos. They seem pretty chill. Standing there one leg.
I bet they can peck you good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Probably the most difficult. Saddle-bill storks, which are taller than me, and we would have to go in and you have to catch them and clip them because otherwise they'd get over a fence. And those guys are nasty. I mean, talking nasty. And the problem with those guys, once you did what you did, they were so mad they'd come after you. So when we would go in, catch, do what we needed to do, you had to have 2 people on the side of you from the person releasing them to protect you because they would come right back at you.
And how do they protect you? Like a trash can lid, or what are you doing?
Or a net, just a net. But they're a huge bird, and they got a huge bill, looks like a saber. They're a heavy bird, but that male, he would. Every time I dreaded it. That was one. I definitely got my respect.
Gotcha.
If I wasn't paying attention, I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Dean, how many different birds are in SeaWorld? Like, obviously, with the penguins.
Well, when you were there.
Yeah.
I think at one point I'm trying to think of the number. I know it was over 300 different different species. But don't quote me on that. I can't even really remember. But I know we had 6 species of penguin, and then we had 2 species of flamingo. Well, actually, we had 3 at one point, and then we went down to 1, the Caribbean flamingo. A lot of different birds. Back in the day, they had a lot of duck ponds throughout the park. And all
Caribbean
that.
flamingo is Rasta hat. Did you know, like one of my favorite things at SeaWorld or any zoo that has some sort of exotic bird is when you have the exotic bird in its enclosure and it looks very exotic and cool, and then somehow a Florida brown turd bird has flown into the enclosure, is now cohabitating. Just, you know what I mean? Like where you see our Florida birds.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of tropical, but they're all turd birds.
Right,
And they'll fly in and they'll like kind of be like, so you'll see a flamingo or a pack of flamingos, beautiful, and then a couple of turd birds.
yeah. You get those birds that want to come in and loaf and hang out in the nice environment.
Yeah, because the environments are state of the art, billions of dollars. And then you get a couple Florida titmouse or some scrub jay or something in there.
Dean, let's talk about, I like how people are like, these birds are in this environment. They're not free. And I'm thinking to yourself, have you seen free birds? They're miserable. They're it's hard as hell to live in nature. Like, they're surviving every day on the verge of dying. Like, to live in SeaWorld is a paradise, right, Dean?
Well, yeah, they've got the best care. They've got the best diet. They're taken care of, 24/7. They don't have to worry about getting sick. Any animal has 2 big concerns in his life. One is what's going to eat me and what am I going to eat? That is for pretty much any animal. That's their 2 biggest concerns, unless you're an apex predator and then you're not worried about getting eaten. But, you provide a nice habitat, clean water, and food and plenty of it, and a clean habitat, you got a happy animal.
Do the penguins learn, like, when you're working with them, do they learn you, and can you make them do, like, tricks like a dog?
How smart are they?
Because I think everybody, and I see this in the chat room, everybody's just like, oh, they're so cute, oh, they're so fluffy, oh, they're so this, oh, they're so that. So let's bust this myth. Are they cute, cuddly? I know they smell like absolute crap. I know that because I've been to the penguin encounter, and the first thing I noticed
they do on the snow.
Exactly.
And then it just stays there.
Well, that's part of the experience. I know they're quite odoriferous, but to answer your question, Dan, you can teach them certain things. They all have different personalities, and like meeting people, they all have different personalities. And as a caretaker of them, doing animal husbandry, it's really important to get to know those personalities. Because when you see a shift in that, then you might indicate that, there might be an issue with that bird.
Sure.
And it might need medical care. But when it comes to training penguins, so it's difficult because they don't care. And what I mean by that is a lot of training techniques, which is common. Some people may not agree with it. But what you do is you get a base weight for that animal, and you reduce it a little bit. Basically what you're doing is you're not starving the animal, but you're making it where it will work for food. That's the reward. There's also other rewards.
My God, I'm a penguin.
Basic thing.
I think I'm a penguin. Like this one.
You got the body.
Yeah, I do. I got the body. I walk like it now with my surgery.
Yeah, but the problem with training a penguin, he didn't care. So you hold food back. He's like, I don't care. I'm not working for that.
That's me. I don't care about money.
Yeah.
Don't even care.
So that's why they're difficult to train. You absolutely can. But more important, working with them, just their different personalities. When I was working at the penguin exhibit, I had certain birds that loved me. They might have hated another person. I had birds that didn't like me.
Yeah.
And they're very choosy who they pick. But I'm in the morning doing my service in there, and I've got Kobe, the big king penguin. Wherever I'm going, there he is. King penguins aren't really known for climbing rocks. As you know, there's a lot of rocky outcroppings in that exhibit.
Yeah.
He would scale them just because he wanted to hang with me. There was birds.
That's
I could
cool.
go. Well, even with Kobe, I'd go in, like I showed Tom and his family, I just call his name, and here he comes up to the gate, and I can, we can do an interaction. So yeah, absolutely.
That's bad. Calling a penguin and it comes to you is awesome. Like that's like that's top. Like that goes in a very high, because that's a weird animal. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a normal, like you call a rhinoceros and it comes to you, that's weird too. You
Yeah,
see what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like you
Right.
gotta get some weird stuff.
Hey,
Penguin and rhinoceros are weird.
Dean's giving
Yeah.
me a lot of family tours.
Yeah. Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
the
know-
penguins are pretty awesome. And,
I
like,
had no idea that Dean could just call Kobe and the dude, that's really neat.
and what's weird about penguins is you'd think that they would like you maybe peck at you or be
What do they
irritated
do?
if you
What-
stay. They're just chill.
They just stand next to you like they just came over to smoke a cigarette. with you?
every time we like take a picture next to a penguin, it would just Dean would put it there and like it would just chill.
Yeah.
Like it would like they seem like pretty chill animals.
Dean, they're more like a Tom, not like a Dan, right? They're calm.
Right. Well, I think they come in all flavors. So, yeah.
Do you
got
get some
the
mad
Tom and the
ones?
Dan.
Do you get some like pissed off, like aggro penguins that like?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd have to dive the exhibit to do maintenance. Clean, vacuum penguin poop, basically.
Yeah.
We name most of them, and they get names because of their personality or whatever. This particular bird's number was 357. It's a gentoo penguin. So I named him Magnum because 357 Magnum,
man.
right? Makes sense?
Yep.
That guy, and you're diving, we'd have to put, kind of isolate him sometimes because he knew exactly where to get you. He'd peck you in the back of the head while you're diving. And so you got all this heavy gear on, you're trying to dive, and then here he is, just banging the crap out of the back of your skull.
I like that. I like Magnum. Magnum's my
underwater-
favorite one.
You're scuba diving for poo-poo, and you're cleaning it, and you got a
Yeah.
penguin pecking the back of your
This
head.
lowers the job a little bit. This lowers the job a little bit, but it's still super awesome that he's pecking the back of your head.
So
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, Magnum, it was a good bird, but, yeah. a little
Are
bit
they
of a pain.
strong? Does it hurt?
Oh, penguins, I like to call them, they're basically, they're nothing but solid muscle. They're muscles with feathers on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like little
they-
loaves of bread, right? They're like little loaves of bread that can
little
like.
fire plugs.
Yeah.
Imagine, the environment in which they got to survive. They're getting waves smashed onto the beach. And they're so muscular. They're so dense. And then, an animal that can propel itself, 15, 17 miles an hour through the water has got to be strong.
Yeah.
All of them, and it's a joke always, they've all taken karate lessons. They know how to swing those flippers
Yeah.
in that solid bone, and when they would swing it, they flatten it out, so it's no resistance. So imagine you taking your hand, put your thumb straight up, and as you're swinging your hand, you put your thumb pointing out. You know what I mean? You get a thinner surface. And, you're in there, hands are cold, and you get a whack across the knuckles.
Yeah, it's not
Those
good.
guys that are mad, oh boy.
Yeah,
And
like
they
a
got real
karate
bones.
chop.
And they got real bones. Yeah, they flare chop you because they got real bones. They don't do like the regular old floppy
So-
hollow bones.
So
Right. And then, not only that, they have to catch fish or they're slimy and they're strong. So they have to have a lot of pressure in their mandible. So imagine what that does when they get a hold of a piece of your skin.
Oh, they can
can
bite
pinch-
you. I didn't even
They
think about
can
that.
pinch very hard. And they know how to twist. So it's not just a pinch, it's hey, I got you, sucker. Now, how do you like this little twist on that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
so Dean,
That is what I would do. That's what little people do.
I'm curious to what your daily duties were at SeaWorld as far as is your whole day just cleaning and prepping food and then
Maintenance,
and feeding and then cleaning cages and is it just nonstop that, or is it some there's portions of animal interactions and enrichments and
Yeah, so it was all. We had different shifts that focused on different duties, but basically, we would prep the exhibits, in the habitats for the guests. Take care of the animals, feed them. Whether you're doing food prep or you're actually doing the feeding and the cleaning, sometimes you're doing all those different things. And then the most important thing is observations, because you got to observe your animals. You got to know that everything's good with them. It kind of sounds geeky, but they'll talk to you. You just got to know how to listen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, one of the most important things of the job is observation and knowing your animals. Like dealing with the penguins. I know that this particular bird usually is in this spot every day in this exhibit. That's where it likes to, hang out.
Sure.
It's not there today. Is that necessarily a problem? Maybe not.
Right, like you were saying with Kobe, if he doesn't follow you up to the top of the enclave, you'd be like, interesting. He normally likes to follow me. Maybe he's got a cold, or maybe he's sick, or maybe he's, yeah.
Right. so you start looking and, well, is it a physical problem or is it a social issue? I mean, different things will create a shift in their behavior. But as taking care of animals, the most important thing you can do is observations and understand your animals and know what's going on with them, what's normal, what's not normal.
Has anybody ever brought something odd into the enclosure, like a hot dog or a taco, and thrown it in there, or like done something weird?
Yeah, because like in the new exhibit, they basically, the glass, people have access, they can reach over it, but they drop stuff in the pool. But I don't know. Sometimes, people do a lot of goofy things. But I'm trying to think of, I had to dive and get an iPhone out of the pool one time, but people as a whole are kind of silly sometimes, especially in an environment like that.
I think I'd leave the iPhone down there and see how many we can collect. You know what?
Yeah. Have you ever had someone jump into the enclosure, a crazy person, and you sort of bird interactions with guests that because the guests are doing something stupid?
Yeah, a little twist.
We had people attempt to get into the penguin thing. I don't think anybody actually ever did. I know over at Wild Arctic, had somebody jump in a pool over there. They got removed and arrested. But that was
that's a rough day.
Yeah, but
You're gonna stink. They're not gonna dry you off. You're gonna stink. Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna stink.
There's I mean, it's people. Some people, dealing with animals, they get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Dean, was there like a never-ending amount of interns that because I imagine at SeaWorld, like there's a ton of people that want to work with animals because they went to SeaWorld when they were a kid, or like they're into working with animals and they want to intern.
Young women between the age of 20 and 23.
Yeah.
Wide
college.
khaki cargo shorts.
We didn't do it. We didn't really have a whole lot of interns. I mean, things varied. I mean, they did different, things. I mean, I like several times I would say have a biology teacher shadow me for 2 weeks, like during their summer break. I think that was something they paid for, but it gave them hands-on experience, dealing with the animals, at my level. So things like that. But as for just interns, we didn't do a whole lot with that. You got to understand. I mean, some of it, you got to extremely dangerous, but you got to be cautious who you allow access to some of these animals.
Yeah, like when you were, is this something, I mean, obviously this is something you did for a long time, then you moved on. Do you miss it? What's the part if you did miss it, is it the relationship with the animals you miss the most?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I miss it. Dealing with the animals, I mean, having that privilege. Later on in my career there, I was doing rescue.
Wow.
Did a lot of, I was out, all over Central Florida doing a lot of crane rescues. They bought me this really cool net gun, which was really fun to use.
Oh, do you still have it? Do you still have the net gun? I want to shoot it at some of our fat listeners.
No, I don't have it. That's SeaWorld property. But
let's buy a net gun.
So
that
much?
was like $1,500.
Hold on, I'm writing down net gun. I'm gonna get a net gun.
Yeah, but that was fun.
I'm gonna shoot April Jennifer Choi as she's whipping you with a net gun.
So you'd have to shoot a net gun to net some sandhill cranes?
Well, you don't have to, but it's fun.
I used to, I primarily used it for, rescuing the bird. You get sandhill cranes, they get darts in them, people, blow dart them, they got a broken leg, or I got one I rescued out of Mount Dora that had an arrow through it. Why I didn't kill that bird, I don't know, but there's this bird flying around with an arrow completely through it.
Someone shot a sandhill crane with an arrow?
That's the Steve Martin bird.
And it didn't hit anything of vital organs because the thing was around. I chased that thing for a couple of weeks. It had been chased so much it was almost impossible to get close to it. Before I got called out on it, other people people wanting to help tried to catch it, and so it got really shy. But to me that's one of the things that is really sad is to see that. You got the sandhill cranes. I mean, basically, people either love them or they hate them. I know they're noisy. Sometimes they tear up stuff in your yard. The biggest problem is they've become urbanized because people feed them. So now they don't do their natural foraging. They rely on people, That's why they hang out in neighborhoods.
You're not supposed to feed them?
No.
Because I feed them.
Yeah. My pop have fed them for
he fed 'em
generations.
too. Every night, me and Maisie walk downstairs and we give them 3 soft taco supremes from Taco Bell.
There you go.
We give 3 soft taco supremes.
They like the Diablo sauce.
They love the Diablo sauce. I hate the Diablo. I'm a fire
They're
sauce.
tough ass birds.
Yeah, they love Diablo.
Who that?
Who would blow dart a sandhill crane? Are you thinking about that?
Well,
because I'm like, what is that just fun to do? Why do you do that?
But also, who doesn't, like, if they see a sandhill crane in their yard or neighborhood, you're like, oh, that's cool.
I've never seen one. I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome.
Who would be like, oh, get out of here, bird? Like, who's that much of a grumpy POS that is mad? Like a sandhill crane that looks awesome, right?
So, well, I've seen this scenario a couple times. Okay, so let's say Tom and Dan live right next to each other. Tom loves the cranes. Dan hates them.
Right.
Tom feeds them every day. So
we can just change this to cats, and we have a real story.
So the cranes will come up. They'll knock on your door. You know, you're basically training them to they let you know that they're there. You go out and give them the corn or whatever you feed them every day, but every day like clockwork. And then they bring their babies up, which a baby crane is called a colt, by the way. They bring their babies up. Everybody loves them. You're putting it on Facebook, you and your buddies. Now, Tom goes on vacation. He's not there to feed them. So now that you see Dan, they go over to Dan's house, who hates him.
Oh, I start whipping him with my cane. I start whipping some necks.
So they start poking holes in the screens on his lanai.
Oh, my God.
Picking up his petunias.
I caught him peeking at my wife. My wife was naked in the jacuzzi, and they came in there poking holes in the screens, and we were trying to do boudoir.
So, you're trying to get your attention. You get aggravated. You hurt him. I mean, I had a guy one time, use like a 3 club on one.
No.
Oh, man.
No, fire. Straight fire. I'm going to use a Mike Busey blowtorch.
But, yeah, the biggest thing is just that, when we feed them like that and they become dependent on us, they're no longer using their foraging skills, and they become dependent, and then they act out, and then it causes issues.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but there's no way Tom's going to deny them food. If he sees them, he's feeding them.
So, Dean, what's the most, I guess, interesting rescue story when your time of rescuing animals? How long is it? Do they let you, hey, you could try to catch this animal for 2 weeks, but after that, it's, you move on, or is it like you try for, maybe on and off?
Then it goes a cold case. Then it goes cold case.
Well, yeah, for the most part, I mean, if we had resources available and we could do it, because I wasn't sitting around like I'm sitting at a fire station waiting for a rescue call. So, I had other duties I was doing, but I get a call, I got the sandhill crane or whatever, and then, if, we always had to go out in pairs, at least, but if I, had a vehicle available and somebody that go with me, and we go out, most times we could, sometimes we couldn't. If it was, generally we didn't normally, for a sandhill, we didn't usually travel more than 50 miles one direction. We'd usually refer them to another rescue rehab individual.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if this animal's, completely impossible to catch, I mean, at a certain point you're going to have to say, well, until the situation changes, I can't do anything.
So
God, those are the ones that hurt.
Yeah.
I watch enough live PD that when they're on pursuit and they get away, they're like, ugh, it's going to sting for a while.
Dean, is there anybody that you know of that have penguins as pets, like exotic pets in their own private, enclosure or whatever?
Mini zoo?
Yeah. Well, okay. So this was years and years ago. Try to make this as quick as possible.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Anyhow, SeaWorld acquired marine land in California. And the main reason they acquired that park is because they wanted the male killer whale. They had some penguins. Some of them were hybrids. They were Humboldt Magellanic mix or whatever. There was 17 of them. Not a good idea to hybridize these birds. Anyhow, they got they went to Wayne Newton's house in Las Vegas. So I drove these penguins out with another guy to Wayne Newton. To answer your question, yeah, because Wayne Newton's a civilian. and he got 17 penguins.
Hold on, you delivered
Wayne
7
Newton?
Hold on.
Yeah.
My uncle Ebby. My cousin Ebby that plays trumpet. He played trumpet for Wayne Newton.
You delivered 17 penguins to Wayne Newton.
Yeah.
Yep, I did. I drove them out, in a refrigerated truck to Las Vegas, and
What did
it was kind of a weird deal, but that was a long time ago. But I did. Whether he still has them or not, or I have no idea. But
Did he have a habitat for them, or did you just have them hanging out at his pool?
No, he had he had a habitat. But these were,
Okay, I found out what happened to them.
They were temperate weather birds, so they most of the penguins got to be in a colder temperature, but there are some that are subtropical. I mean, you got the Galapagos penguin, which is almost on the equator, but you got the cold Pacific current there. So, but there's levels. You would think Las Vegas hot as hell. Hard to have penguins, but no, he had an appropriate facility for them.
Yeah. In 2013.
All right.
He filed bankruptcy.
Oh, Wayne Newton filed bankruptcy?
And he sold his all of his wildlife to the Oregon Wildlife Center.
Okay.
For a total of $27,300.
So that's it?
That was less than $100 per critter. We're talking sloths, penguins. What else is here? The estate, they paid $10,500 for a single penguin in 2010, but it just he didn't have the money.
Oh yeah, once you file bankruptcy, you're just offloading every penguin you have.
Yeah, they got him back.
Right.
And then there you go.
The weird.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things that driving them out there. You stop at a truck stop, fuel up, and it's a refrigerated truck. We'd have some anyway. So penguins are pooping. There's liquid, so it's draining out of the truck. This truck driver comes up to me and goes, "We're sitting there, and this is nasty green water that's coming out." He's like, "It's none of my business, but what are you hauling?" And I said, "Penguins." And he's like, "What? Whatever." I said, "No, dude, really." So I showed him. So he gets on the CB, and next thing I know, I got a line behind my truck at this truck stop. Everybody checking out penguins in the back of a truck.
Oh, brother 19, we got some ice cold little fellas come back.
But
we got a convoy.
Were they just falling all over each other back there like a jackass when they hire a moving truck?
No, it's actually really cool. We put ice down because it's like a self-cleaning bedding. It melts and then helps, get rid of some of the feces and whatnot. But after driving for a little bit, we'd have a camera, so in the cab we could watch and see how they're doing. And it was like one of the most hilarious things. I got a video somewhere of it. But as you start to turn the truck, they feel that truck turning, and you see them all leaning into the turn. And you go back the other way, and sometimes we would just steer the truck back and forth just to watch them do the lean.
Is that some sort of evolutionary thing from them, learning how
standing on an iceberg?
I'm balancing on a floating ice
or a drift.
I don't know, but when you first take off, they're falling all over the place. Because they're not used to it. Yeah. They're not used to that movement. You're braking and
like Sam on the fishing boat.
Yeah,
but she got her sea legs.
But really quickly they figure it out. The only other thing with transporting them like that is, if you drive more than 12 hours with them, they get really tired, and that's when they start acting kind of weird on you. They won't eat and things like that. So we generally would map it out and make it a 10, no more than 11-hour day. Give them a chance to chill out, no pun intended, and then feed them and do all that good stuff.
Now I hate to bring this part up, but did you ever lose one? Like one you really liked, or what's the most common thing for penguins? What do you got to fight the most? What's the hardest thing?
Is it some sort of disease or whatever? How do they die usually?
Well, for us, it's even in dealing, it's primarily age.
Oh, I thought you were going to say AIDS, and I was going to scream. Hold on, if you said AIDS, I was going. I don't know why I was going to do that, but I was gonna.
Age, but no. Every now and again, you have one that has some physical anomaly, like a kidney issue or
big giant balls.
But in dealing with animals, especially the scale that I did it, you're always facing that, everybody has pets and their goldfish die and whatever. So, that's the reality of it. It happens. We try not to let it happen. They get the best medical care, you can get. But unfortunately you do lose some.
What's your opinion quickly on puffins?
Puffins?
Puffins.
I think they're cool, but they're dicks to work with.
I agree.
I work
Complete
with them,
a-holes. Puffins. Yeah, I think they're you know what they're
Cool,
like?
they're cool looking.
They were
birds,
cool
but-
in the beginning, and now they believe their own stuff. I'm looking at you, Bert Kreischer. Puffins are a lot like Bert Kreischer, but now, not then.
Well, Dean, thanks so much for telling us about your weird job. And just, you don't have to say the actual number, but we ask everybody, what their salary was. Is SeaWorld, like working with animals, is it a good paying job or is it more for the love of what you do?
Well, so you got to remember, I was there 39 years.
Whoa!
Should have led with that.
So, yeah, I mean, I had a decent wage when I left. I mean, I didn't start out with a decent wage, but I think when I started in animal care, it was like $4.10 an hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually got to love the job.
Yeah,
but,
man.
Well,
it
as things
sounds-
changed
it
and
sounds
it
like you
evolved, and I was a supervisor, so yeah, I was fairly compensated. So
That's awesome.
Well, Dean,
it's one of those things. Zoos typically are underfunded. Zookeepers typically aren't going to make a whole lot of money. It's going to the animal facilities that are well funded. Working like at San Diego Zoo, some of the more famous zoos, National Zoo, something like that, you're going to be compensated a little bit better. But I'm just guessing here, but like Central Florida Zoo, I can't imagine that starting somebody out with no experience, they're going to be paying a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, no, we know people a lot of volunteers at
There goes that dream.
Local zoo.
I was thinking of transitioning over there. Not going to work.
Well, Dean, have a great rest of your day. We
Thank you,
appreciate
buddy.
talking to you.
And we'll talk. We hope to talk to you again sometime soon. Okay, man.
Yeah, no problem. If you ever have any questions about anything, and I'm open book.
I feel
Very good.
confident Tom will be hitting you up for irrigation or fire suppression favor very, very soon.
Yeah, I also had a short stint working at Winn-Dixie meat and seafood. So
What? We'll get you in here.
I
A
did a
butcher.
lot of different things.
I love it. I love it. All right, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, you too.
Be
Thanks.
good.
I'm
What a
always-
nice man.
Always disappointed when someone tells me about their job that couldn't in no way me benefit from, like fire suppression.
Yeah. Like, damn it.
I'm like, God.
I can because I
not really
have-
worried about
I
fire.
got the sprinklers. I could have him come over and upgrade me.
Yeah. But those, I think the association takes care of those. Or you have to take care of them yourself.
I don't know. I don't care about anything.
It's got to be some sort of insurance.
They're doing my roof next week.
Yeah. Who is in charge of the fire sprinklers? Do you own that and are in charge of keeping the upkeep of those?
Don't know.
Your
No
wife
one knows.
knows.
There's no way of
Yeah,
figuring it out.
Andrew
No
knows
one.
for
It's
sure.
impossible to know.
Because you should
I don't
pay
even
less
think they
insurance
work.
for it.
I think it's just a placebo. They just stick them up there. It's like having the fake camera.
There's
It's
no
there's no
one
water in them.
come to service them. I'm sure.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, okay.
But it's real willy-nilly. Like, they'll ring the doorbell, and then we're like, hey, we're servicing your things. And you could, like, yell back. You'd be like, get out of here. They'll be like, okay, we'll check you off that you just told us to get out of here.
So that has to be something the association pays for and is part of the insured, like
The computer turned on by itself. Look at the rainbows.
Yeah. What
Look
is
at the
that?
crazy lights.
Yeah.
How funny is that?
Put some electrical tape over that.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to break them. I'm going to go in there and snip the wires somehow. All right. We got to take a break.
I want a penguin for my backyard. Like
Let's
that's
talk
how
about
awesome
that for a
right?
second. He said
It swims in my pool.
He said, didn't he say a Bermuda penguin? What did he call it? He called it a Caribbean.
There's
what?
something like tropical penguin.
What is a Caribbean?
You just run your pool cold, just swimming around there crazy.
I get one.
The part
You need an exotic animal if you're going to do the palm trees.
they just doo-doo everywhere. That's the bad part about animals. There's just so much doo-doo that it's like, oh God, it doo-dooed all over my pool deck all day long. It just doo-doos.
No, they're all, I guess, South Africa.
Yeah.
Peru and Chile. We need a Chilean. We
Okay.
need a Chilean penguin. We'll do it. We're going to get one.
All right, we will see you tomorrow. Welcome back to A Corporate Time. Let's do some voicemails.
Yes, sir. Voicemails, emails. If you would like to leave us one, we would love to listen to your concerns. You can do it through the free Tom and Dan app All of our shows are on there. If you're an audio mun that you require something in your ears while you're working on something, while you're exercising, we got you covered. Tons of shows, tons of music, tons of improv, tons of all kinds of stuff. Just get the free app, and you can find out more at tomanddan.com. You can leave us a message just like this one right here. This was a hot topic about, remember Captain Brock, the crazy fisherman?
Yeah.
And then he tried to lean heavy on fighting for the country, and then he angered a lot of veterans that listened to our show. Here we go.
Hey, show, it's Jeremy from South Carolina. Listening to the OG show, and you guys are touching on, whether or not it's okay to get mad at a veteran for being an a-hole. And I'd like to chime in that as a veteran myself, not only is that the case, but it also takes the weight out of every time I'm watching a movie or a show and they're trying to imply somebody's a true badass by saying, oh, he's prior military. Like, I know dudes that got chaptered out for being fat, for smoking weed, for getting DUIs. So it kind of hits a little bit different when you try to say somebody is a badass just based on military service. Love the show.
It's true. If you smoked weed and were fat, and then your friends refer to you like, oh, he's paramilitary, that is there is a scale there.
I will say
there's a spectrum there.
It from my experience, no one has less respect for veterans than veterans. I know some veterans.
Well, some of these guys are real mad that
and they're like they'll tell me, some friends of mine are like you shouldn't clap for everybody.
Yeah.
I've seen some of these people. They deserve no applause.
And I don't even think that was the beef here. I think the beef here was that the guy went so quickly. When you go that quick to it, it's like, what are you trying to...
Well, it's cheesy. Who are you
trying to convince here?
I again, like other veterans look at that and just like, get this guy.
Oh, other veterans go real... And guess who's in the fishing groups that I went into to see all veterans, and they're mad at this guy.
Who says that? Anyway,
they're all like, shut up. All right, we got one more. You know what? I'm not going to do another Captain Brock. Let's do this one about Balatro, the card game.
All right, I know this topic is probably played out by now, but Tom's cognitive dissonance just blows me away. Tom says that he doesn't understand why people play Balatro because there's no value and it's just a waste of time. It's entertainment, Tom. It's literally what you do for a living. All of us BDMs waste our time and give y'all money because it's entertainment.
Well, I like that one.
Well, I like that one.
I understand. I was just
he does understand.
Towards,
it's just not you. Is that what you're? That's more of what you're saying, right?
I know it's entertainment. I was looking for a purpose for the entertainment as far as like, are you trying to reach a score that, anyway, it's I'm just trying to find out why.
Yeah, he's just asking questions. And it pisses me when you ask
killing
questions.
Time.
When you ask questions, people get mad. Like, why do you like that? And you're like, what? I'm going to get mad as hell at
Well,
you.
they take it as an attack because if they like it and I ask why, they're mad.
I don't take it as maybe that's why you and I work well together. I don't take it as an attack, but I do get tired of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just I just don't want to explain it. But I don't take it as an attack. I'm just like, he doesn't understand it because it's not something he's into. Which is totally fine.
If I attack you
I'll know.
over and over, you get tired.
Well, I'm very weak.
My wife's super tired.
You gotta give up.
Yeah.
Let's try this one right here. Filthy Fortunes. What do you know about that?
Hey, Tom and Dan. I think I found a new TV show that maybe both you guys might enjoy. It's called Filthy Fortunes, I think. It's the guy from Hoarders, and he's doing the same sort of thing through hoarded old houses, but they sell all the junk and trash and split it with the people. And the homes are all
I have seen this. Yeah, it's less. They're trying to do Hoarders with less ad. Because, Hoarders is always, you get 3 minutes in and you're like mental illness.
Yeah,
right?
Doo-doo, and it's the horrible dead cats buried. But they're rich hoarders.
You know how sensitive I am. And you know I make a ton of jokes on here as a defense mechanism. But hoarders, we all know that real hoarders, the one that has the gray Hoarders logo, 3 minutes in, you realize that this person is struggling with severe mental illness and their family is at their wits' end and they want to they want to give up.
Yeah, but that's all we know of. When we did the hoarder episode episode of ACT and
sad.
we went into the house.
Yeah.
It's they're living in filth and
Yeah.
it's garbage everywhere and stuff. But we never see the rich hoarders because they won't agree to go on the show or whatever. You know, what I'm
Either
saying?
way,
Like,
it's embarrassing.
yeah, but
No matter how you cut it.
who was that rapper that the rapper's friends were accusing
Rick
him?
Ross. It
Was
was
it
Rick
Rick Ross?
Ross.
Yeah, he had just piles of brand new shoes in a room. Like
Yeah.
hey, all his
And they
rooms.
made him go through it.
Yeah. All his rooms in his mansion were filled with expensive things,
Yeah.
new stuff.
Yeah,
But
new Jordans.
that's the same illness as the poor doo-doo hoarder. It's the same thing.
But
It's
it
just
is
Rick
better.
Ross
But it
has
is
more
better.
money. Yes,
It is
it is
better.
better because it's not filth.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of like you can't get rid of anything, and then for whatever reason you have put an emotional value or put some emotional connection to all this stuff, even though you obviously don't need 500 pairs
No.
of Nikes.
He continues here.
People who've passed away and their kids inherit the home and they just want to get rid of all this stuff. Now, what I really enjoy about the show is we've had a doomsday prepper lady who passed away in her house, and she's got 25 years of food and homemade booze, and all that sold, trashed, worthless. All that work for nothing. I love it. Another guy, tons of guns and ammo, 5-gallon buckets full of buckshot. No doomsday coming, no apocalypse, all that sold or right in the trash. All your life's work for nothing. I think it's fantastic. Thank you, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to start watching this. I would watch this a little bit. I guess I did a version of that with my mom and dad's house, but it wasn't hoarded up.
There's a certain amount of illogical thinking when it comes to doomsday prepping. And it goes along the same lines of the joke that me and Daniel find hilarious is you're so afraid of the end of the world or you're so afraid of dying, you kill yourself.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you realize it's the point where the character realizes that it's going to be super hard to survive or that an asteroid's coming in, 2 months and they just can't take it and they kill themselves.
We have
they're
a
afraid of dying.
prepper in the we don't have a prepper. We have a prepper whose mom is a prepper in our Twitch chat room and says it's exhausting.
Yeah, because it's essentially a type of anxiety.
Yeah,
that
I can relate to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it feels great to order that bucket of 20-year food.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a relief there
because
I get that
it's
100%.
It's some sort of peace of mind to
Yes.
them. But
It's like me going in like with hypochondria. I get it, man.
The illogical comedy of it, though, is the person has guns and 10 years of dry goods to last or whatever, and then you're like, what's your point of this? And you're like, well, if the end of the world comes or like a solar flare turns off the electricity and a whole world's fighting and killing each other so I can live longer.
Yes.
And then the point of this is so you can live longer, but you haven't exercised in 10 years and you're a horrible health.
Or you're not truly using logic or intelligence or smarts to figure out a true plan. You just want a quick anxiety Band-Aid to make you feel better at the time.
Yeah.
And buying a jumbo bucket of food can do that.
Because obviously if you wanted to live longer, you'd focus on eating right and exercising and your overall health and whatever. But this, whatever prepping you're doing...
Yeah.
You say it makes you feel better.
I've never met a real one, man.
But it doesn't actually, it's not helping you live longer because you're going to die of heart disease in 10 years.
No, I know.
And that's maybe 1,000 times more likely than using your rice that you saved.
Probably more than that.
Because
it's coming for you quickly. It doesn't, a lot of these people are in their 60s and 70s. They don't have much time.
Yeah.
Well, some of these people are on oxygen. They're prepping. You know?
Emphysema
is going to get you versus...
Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I also see the side of buying the bucket because I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm not a prepper, but I'm just like, let's see. For me, it would be like, I don't know, booze. Grabbing a beer to push down, to tamp down anxiety. It's not a good thing to do, but it's a coping mechanism, right? All these are coping mechanisms that they're using because they have some sort of fear of the end of the world that they're not addressing. Is that your argument?
Yeah. Well, so it's kind of like the person who does the ice bath because they're like, oh, well, I heard a lot of good. You
don't even drink a glass of water a day.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you could do the ice bath and you could do the sauna and all the little micro things, but you got to start with like your diet and exercise and all the drinking water
Sleep.
and like eating better, whatever.
Sleeping.
Nutrition and exercise, that will be 90% of it. Once you got that dialed in, then you could do the small little other stuff. But the ice bath does you no good if you're eating McDonald's
You're
every
just
day.
chilling your fat.
yeah.
You know?
It's like this is not giving you any benefits. And the same thing with the prepping. It's when you see someone prepping for the end of the world, they never take into account like, all right, well, what's the likelihood of this happening, right? What's the likelihood of this preparation even working?
Yeah, but you're taking away my Band-Aid if I do that.
Yeah. Like it's in your your garage in a suburban neighborhood. Like, if it did happen, like the people know about a human behavior. Like, you're most likely, maybe you'll live longer than your neighbors, but your neighbors will eventually band together and kill you for your food.
I always think about that. I always think about that.
So that's what you have your guns for.
That's the first thing I would do. The first thing I would do if, like, martial law, they've locked down the streets, I got to sneak out and kill my neighbors because they're going to try to kill me eventually. So I have to kill them first.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I
watched a barbecue and I poisoned them.
I watched Louis C.K.'s recent comedy special.
Yeah.
Which because of his behavior, harder to find.
Yeah. It's like Kanye's new album. Where are you going to get World War III?
Yeah. It's
hard. How are you going to find Bully?
Yeah. It's hard for Louis C.K. to work with a lot of these big. So you have to like dive deep a little bit.
L. Lewis next to N. Nazi.
Like,
okay, there
you can find it on the internet. But anyway,
on the dark web.
A funny joke he talks about is like the gun people training for home invaders, but by going to a shooting range and shooting at a paper target that's 30 feet away with a headphone or like earmuffs on, and
tactical vests on,
in a perfectly controlled environment. No, but I'm just saying like that you should be training actually to shoot a home invader that's trying to shoot you.
Yeah, you'd be in your underwear.
You'd be waking up in the middle of the night, half drunk from the night, then actually firing at someone.
I'd be in tiny panties with my cane. I'd have my cowboy hat on.
Yeah, they're just standing there like a paper target 30 yards away and bright lights shooting. It was like, that's...
EJ's trying to clown you. He says that's Bill Burr and not Louis C.K.
Whatever. Both the same.
Let's do one more. I think this
one just likes, I forgot which one of them.
Yeah, one of them,
It was Bill Burr.
One of them talked me off, and the other guy's Star Wars.
Louis C.K. said something funny, too. I'll say later.
Stick around.
Hey, guys. I just listened to the Gatorland show with Savannah. I got to tell you, that was one of the best shows I've heard in a long time. It really was fascinating. And I have a question for you. Maybe you can ask Savannah next time you see her. Does she do like VIP tours, like guided tours?
Hold on a second. What are you talking about? What kind of tour are you talking about?
Of Gatorland.
I would be fascinated to go out with her and spend a couple hours or half a day. Yeah. Next time you talk to her, ask her that.
All right.
This is Thomas, other mailman, by the way, Greg. You guys have a good day.
That's when I played it. Attack your mailman again.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for helping us with our medium appreciation packages.
We are getting a lot of them returned. But they're completely unrelated. It's completely unrelated that
I'm not saying it was you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
I would never say that.
I looked at you at one point. I'm like, Greg, you're like, he's like,
I don't know where the hell I'm at right
He's like,
now.
I'm just putting shirts in the bags. I don't know what.
It was like an episode of The Office. He's like, I see a shirt, I stuff it in a bag, and I put it on the truck.
And I'm like, are you looking at the labels? You know what size? He's like, nope.
And as of this morning, every man that emails me got a woman's tank top this morning. So I don't, but they're completely unrelated. It's completely unrelated.
Put random shirts in bags. It's like, that's not how it works. But thank you, Greg.
All right, one more. Oh, no, we should probably take a break. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
First, we'll ask Savannah that. That would be a good business model for Gatorland to have like private tours by Savannah, I guess, because people would pay for that. It was a cool experience walking around Savannah. I heard telling you.
You got to go big dollar. That's $1,500 all day long, dude.
Yeah, that would have to be
That's $1,500. That's $2,000. No, it's $2K.
I don't know if she wants to do that.
I don't think she does.
She's
'cause
got.
I think she's the every woman, right? Like she's like, you go out there, you see her organically, you say hi, which you can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely can do that.
And she's like,
but $2K. I'm just putting a price on it. Maybe I'm wrong. You're good at that. Put a price on it. I'm saying no less than $2K.
well, maybe if you did it like for a charity thing, but if Gatorland started implementing that into like private VIP
How long
tours
is it,
of
an
Savannah,
hour?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess she just takes you around, but then that's adding another whole job to what she does
And
already.
She's already overworked. as it is,
Yeah. We're just taking care of the animals, then
Yeah.
the social media. My God.
Yes.
I mean, the amount of social media followers she has
She's in
is
Cuba.
insane.
Like I was supposed to try and get a hold of her to get her back in here, and we can't because I think she's going to. Well, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that, but she's traveling.
Yeah,
Again.
she's constantly going to different organizations around the world that work with alligators and crocodiles and stuff.
But
It's
very approachable. Reach out to Gatorland. They're awesome people. The whole staff is the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. They treated us like gold. And
you can message Savannah on Instagram,
100%.
and I'm pretty confident she'll reply.
Especially if you're a kid.
Yeah,
If you're a kid and you like alligators or reptiles and you want some love, she'll give it to you, man. She
Yeah.
found her calling out there. It's awesome.
Yeah. And then you'll see her at Gatorland if you go. She's walking around. She's there Monday through Friday.
All right, buddy. You want to take a break?
Yep, we will be right back.